Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. We are back again, us the guys, the fellas. I am joined by Mr. Endo Mills
Good morning.
and Mr. Sim for the win.
Yeah.
Boys, it is the last day of August in 2022. We are a few short weeks away from returning to 2 times a week, the start of the NHL season. But in the meantime, it leaves us with very little to talk about in the hockey world. We got a few things to talk about today that I think will be somewhat interesting as well. We got plenty of viewer questions, a little bit of NHL 23 to talk about, or in the case of Sin, maybe no NHL 23 to talk about. We'll get to all of that. But why not get right into it? We'll mention right off the top, as we always do, this podcast brought to you by our lovely friends at Manscaped. You can use code Tougie at checkout to get 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping using the code Tougie, Tougie, at checkout. Manscaped, get the best tools for the job. Take care of yourself and your balls, especially the balls. Always the balls. As we get this show started, because I could sit here and just be like, oh, Endo, how are you? And you'd just be like, I'm playing NHL 23 tech test, so I'm not doing great. And Sin would be like, I'm doing great because I haven't played the tech test.
I'm playing Total War Warhammer 3, and it's fantastic.
That's his tech test.
That is his tech test. He is enjoying a nice little vacation away while the rest of us just exist. As always, though, we'll start off this podcast with some viewer questions. Again, a link to my Discord's in the description. There is the viewer questions section for the sake of this show, and you could get your questions in just like these fine people did. And we'll start off with, I have it categorized this week, gentlemen. It's going from music to food to hockey. We'll start off with the 2 music-based questions. This one from Scroopy Noobers. It's our little warm-up here. Who is the greatest rock and roll band of all time? The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin?
Well, I guess we have to choose one of those. But
you have to choose one of those.
No, see, it's almost like a 2-part.
It's
right?
a 2-part question.
I mean,
you're not asking for the greatest rock band of all time. You're asking for the greatest of these 3, and you assume that those are the greatest rock bands of all time. But I would honestly disagree, and I'd get a lot of hate. But I don't care. But yeah, of those 3, it's the Beatles hands down.
Yeah, I mean, I view those 3 as the most influential, right? Yeah. Like, that was the starting point for rock, just like, Black Sabbath was the starting point for metal and stuff like that. Have they been surpassed in terms of catalog, in my opinion, as well? Yes. But there's no denying, like, the influence. They were the game changers in that sense. Yeah. It's got to be the Beatles. Yeah. In that sense. It has to be. That's not even necessarily a discussion, although Endo might disagree. Do you make this a discussion?
Not really. Like, if you
Can
go
you
by
name 5
sure,
songs from each of those guys is what I want to know. As a Gen Zer here.
Yeah, as the youngest on this podcast, can you name 5 Beatles songs?
Fucking Let It Be. But that's really a John Lennon song, so not really. Fucking hell, Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds. Shit. I don't know, man. I just don't.
That was mean.
Okay, so going off of the Spotify top 5 most played.
She Loves Me.
Let It Be is on there.
Submarine. Shut up. Let me fucking finish. Yellow Submarine. She Loves Me. Back in the USSR. Fitting. And all
right, for the Beatles, let's say he did well.
Yeah.
We also would have accepted Here Comes the Sun. Come together.
I would have said that too.
Can you name 5 Rolling Stones songs? Ooh, that's silence. That's silence.
I've heard it.
All you gotta say is "Sympathy for the Devil," and that's all you need.
Not even that. I played enough Rock Band to hate this song completely. Gimme Shelter.
What?
Ooh, hating that
I'm
song.
sorry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You hate that song?
No, listen. I don't hate that song. The song's fucking great. I hate the fact that when I was fucking 12 years old playing on medium, I couldn't do some of my hands were so fucking small. I couldn't play some of the note patterns and everything. And even in the fucking intro.
I have these tiny hands. I couldn't properly play Rock Band.
I had to use the bottom of the neck to hit the frets.
I had to have my brother come in and hit the buttons for me. It was very embarrassing.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I could name 5 Led Zeppelin songs. The other 2 I could. I never got Zeppelin.
Well,
I never
for the Rolling
got them.
Stones.
I'm sorry. I don't think Led Zeppelin is any good, and I'm gonna get some hate for that. But I'm sorry. I just didn't.
Immigrant song for Zeppelin.
Ugh.
Hold on. For the Rolling
I can just
Stones,
name fucking every
we also
Van
would have
Fleet
accepted
song.
for the Rolling Stones. I can't get no satisfaction.
Yeah.
Paint It Black's up there. Start Me Up. There's some good songs.
Yeah, okay. But for Led Zeppelin, just name a fucking Greta Van Fleet song. That's all you have to do. And that's just Zeppelin.
What's my favorite Led Zeppelin song? Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah. Black Smoke Rising. I can't stand Greta Van Fleet anymore. I used to listen to them when they first started out. I'm like, there's no real identity here. It's just literally, I'm going to steal your voice and just go profit off of it.
Sin, can you name 5 Led Zeppelin songs?
No. I'm just saying no. I don't like Led Zeppelin whatsoever. I'm like trying to think of
Can you name one?
Probably, but I've moved on to the next question. I was already looking at that.
Fair enough. For Led Zeppelin, we would have accepted Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
The Immigrant Song.
Yes.
A Lot of Love. Cashmere. Also great.
Was Hot for Teacher them or was that Van Halen? I always get that confused.
That was Van Halen.
That's what I thought. I was like, I think that's Van Halen. Oh yeah, much better. Van Halen was 10 times better than Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
I like songs from all 3 bands. I don't know if I can necessarily pick a favorite, but in terms of, again, the most influential, we'd go with the Beatles. Now, Reds Rebels piggybacked off of this, admittedly so. Who's the best pop punk band of all time? And I will say this. It really does depend because some people get slapped with the label of being pop punk when they're not, or it was a very small era. And they moved. Well, yeah, My Chemical Romance is the perfect example where some people are like pop punk, and I'm like,
they're either post-hardcore or emo. They're nowhere close to pop punk.
100% put them in the emo category. Then there's Green Day, who
they revolutionized it.
Who might be my choice, but I mean, they started off outright as a punk band in California. And then obviously, really like American Idiot, post-American Idiot, it was more just like outright rock, in my opinion. I don't think you can call 21 Guns pop punk,
It's not, but I honestly, I consider them pop punk. Dookie was super poppy.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like when I think of punk, I think of the Addicts and like the bands that you don't fucking hear of. Like, that like these horrible quality recordings and like that. To me, that was like the punks, or that's real punk. Everything else is pop punk.
Yeah, that's true punk.
Sounds
that's
good,
legit. Just like,
yeah. I mean, if you're talking like outright, well, then again, I mean, punk is interesting, obviously, because it went so many different ways.
Yeah.
Especially too like the fine line between pop punk and like skate punk that, Sin and I especially, and Endo too, I mean, for that matter, growing up with like the Tony Hawk games and stuff like that. This is a tough one because it depends on who you put into the bracket of pop punk necessarily.
I mean, for me, it's easy.
Take it away.
182, 100% the best pop punk band of all time.
Yeah.
They revolutionized it. They were funny. They were talented enough, and they made good songs, and they were catchy songs. They had hits. They still had that dirtbag fucking mentality and this loser mentality at the same time, which is very much a punk kind of thing to have.
Yeah, I agree completely. I was gonna say pre DeLong leaving or post DeLong leaving.
I mean, DeLong left so late, and from what I'm talking about, like, I mean, Cheshire Cat, Enema of the State, Take Off Your Pants and Jackets, those are, like, those are extremely... All their, like, they had punks, like, honestly, where I think they became the most pop punk, they were kind of always had that to them, but it was when Travis Barker joined the band. So like,
Yeah, and now he's off doing solo stuff with every single fucking rapper,
he's like a
R&B
producer
artist,
now.
and dragging
I was
them
gonna
into
say,
punk.
I can't believe your answer isn't Machine Gun Kelly.
Jesus.
Okay,
The
speaking
best,
of music,
the
I
best
asked
pop
this one.
punk act of all time.
Speaking of music, I asked this one. Favorite album, not even have to be like punk or pop or anything related, that you either favorite album or album you can't skip a song in.
I have
Ooh,
a lot of
that's
albums like
just-
that because I have a very weird thing in me where I have to listen to things chronologically. So when I listen to a band, if I
Ooh.
get into a band, I'll listen to all their fucking albums chronologically.
Mm,
And I have a
Yeah.
playlist of that when I game. I have all the Falconer albums besides the two with the other singer who was not as good. All of them chronologically, and I'll just listen to that for hours. Or same with Avenged Sevenfold. Like often, they're a little bit different though. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this album, and it reminds me of something. But yeah, no, when I listen to an album, I listen to the whole album because it's, for me as a musician, and again, someone who just maybe has a weird mind, you have to listen to something as it's presented. A song is a song, sure, but like an album is meant to be, it's a whole thing. A song is a part of it, and I never quite understood people who could only like a certain song from something. Like to me, like an album is the entirety of the art, and that song is a piece of that overall greater, not necessarily story, but there's a theme to each album generally, and where those artists are at that time is all, that it's the whole album. There's gonna have, it's gonna have the pop, the catchy songs and stuff, the single, but there's also gonna be the emotional songs. There's gonna be the heavier songs. It's gonna be whatever emotions that they were feeling at the time and encapsulated into that piece of art, which is an album.
I love when Sin just gets to riff about music. It's great.
That's why I asked the question, because I know he's got a big long answer for it. Intricate too.
I'm trying to think of one because I'm certainly someone who started off the same way as Sin, but then as music has changed and it's become more about the single, especially currently, it's tough. Like obviously, like I can think of like some Metallica albums, some Billy Talent albums. There is an album by the name of New Skin by a band called CRX, which was a spin-off project by I think the bassist from God, I can't even think of the other freaking name that's out there now.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the guitarist from the Strokes. It was his like solo project. That album's
good.
Really need the Strokes. Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Like I said, just for me musically, just the way I've kind of like my listening habits have definitely changed.
Yeah.
In terms of pop punk, I mean, obviously, if someone were to be like, "Oh, I like Sum 41 or Good Charlotte or Paramore or Yellow Card," like, cool. There's a lot of good pop punk bands. I mean, Jesus, like,
yeah.
where do you put Fall Out Boy before like 2000? Like, their stuff before 2008, basically.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, man. There's as long as your answer isn't Simple Plan. Fuck
No,
Simple
fuck
Plan.
Fuck that.
That's
no.
right. I said it. Fuck you with
know what?
just a kid and life is a nightmare. You're 37.
I'm sorry,
Stop.
I can't be perfect.
Fucking right. You can't. Neither can they because they suck.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But they're
well,
successful. Doesn't mean they don't suck. A lot of successful people suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question from Fire Don
I didn't
Sweeney.
get the fucking answer. I asked the question to get the fucking answer.
Oh, I thought because you were asking a question. You don't get to answer your
Oh
own
right.
question.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. It has to be in the form of a question. You didn't
Oh,
say what
really?
Oh,
is.
sorry. What is
Okay.
diarrhea?
What is your favorite condiment to put on a sandwich?
All right. Cool. Queens of the Stone Age. That's my favorite condiment to put on the sandwich.
Fair enough.
Are
Yeah.
they someone you listen to?
Spicy
all the way through,
mayo.
I take it.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he's the biggest Queens
Oh.
nerd.
Impressive. A queen who likes Queens of the Stone Age. Got him.
Yeah. Sin, what is your favorite condiment to put on a sandwich?
Mayonnaise. It's the best. Like,
Number-
what other condiment are you putting on sandwiches?
I like spicy mustard.
Okay, yeah, I like spicy
Yeah.
mustard,
Yeah,
but
Spicy mustard.
to me, it has to go in addition. Like I always have to base it on my mayo. Like you need your
If
bread
you
to
could
be wet.
Yeah. If you could say one condiment on the sandwich, I'm taking mayo.
Oh yeah, 100%. How about you,
Endo, are
Did
we
he,
just
answer?
white, or do you agree?
You know what's funny? Half of me agrees with you guys. Like mayo is like the basis of a sandwich. Because whenever you ever get a chicken sandwich or something, you gotta have some mayo on there. Maybe a little I like I keep calling it areola sauce, but I can't remember what it's called. Aioli, yeah. So it's been
Areola sauce, bro.
It's been a joke with me and Paulina. That every time I want like aioli sauce, I just call it areola sauce.
Yeah, you're just like whip out the titty. Let's go.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I just put my hat up. God damn it.
God damn.
Yeah, just every time we order like Subway or something, I'll just be like, "Yeah, gonna get some areola sauce," and she looks at me weird.
Eat fresh.
Like, yeah.
As fresh as it gets.
Right?
Smothering a Sammy with fucking titty. You're good. There you go.
God.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? From Ben Fan account, marshmallows, good or bad? Fuck are these questions this week? Marshmallows, good or bad?
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
I agree.
Whoop whoop. Good, because s'mores are really good. I guess. I mean, even if you eat a marshmallow straight out of the bag, it's all right. But like, yeah, they got to be like heated up and roasted. Like,
yeah,
they're good. They can't really be bad, can they?
No,
I don't know.
it's like
the ones in Finland were different when we made s'mores, but they were pretty good.
I missed out on that, and I'm very upset.
You did, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, that sucks.
Shout out to marshmallows and hot chocolate as well. Something Sin hasn't had in 17 years because he lives in California.
Hot chocolate?
Yeah.
Actually,
when's the last time you
I
had
haven't
hot
had
chocolate?
that in fucking years, man.
Yeah,
Told you.
It's been at least a
There you
couple
go.
holidays. Like in a couple holidays, man, I haven't had hot chocolate. Maybe dude, I can't even remember. At least a few years, probably even 5+.
So either
just sent
visit,
them back.
me or Finland in the fall winter months, and you'll
And
just
have
be like,
hot
"Oh
chocolate.
fuck, this is the best."
I don't know. If I'm in Finland, I'll probably still eat ice cream, dude. They fucking love their ice cream over there.
That they do. All right, Endo, I think we got your answer on that. Do we really want to extend the conversation about marshmallows?
Don't like the artist, but I appreciate a good marshmallow. We used to have my parents used to have a chocolate fountain, and we would like
chocolate factory.
yeah. Oh my. Oh man.
Canadian dream, emigrate, build a chocolate factory.
I mean, you could just call an all black run business a chocolate factory, so that works too.
As long as it's a factory, though.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have an episode title. If you were wondering why the episode was titled Chocolate Factory.
It's gonna be all black business.
It's
I don't
because
know, that
this
works
one's
too.
hosted by Endo. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll switch over to hockey now. Probably a little bit over, too. Let's be honest, the opening 20 minutes of a podcast is always the best. It really is. Who cares about hockey?
Fuck hockey when we have this banter.
God damn.
Fuck, that got me. Hold on, I'm gonna falling over. Oh, okay. All
This
right,
one
we're good.
comes from Nog Friend. Sim, when's the last time you had eggnog, and are you a fan?
Well, obviously, I don't do the shit with alcohol in it. I don't drink anymore. But
Right.
when I did have eggnog, it was decent. Like I was like surprised because everyone's like it was either hit or miss for everyone,
Right.
and like everyone's like eggnog, and I was like it's pretty good. Like it's not something I drink every day, but it's
No.
pretty fucking good. Like
Once on, like, a glass on Thanksgiving and a glass on Christmas with dinner.
Yeah.
That's my limit.
and apparently it's a really big thing to put alcohol in because Merca. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sorry.
everything's a big thing to put alcohol in. because
Yeah.
of Merca. Like, that's just a general thing.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty nuts.
Soda is just an excuse to put something else in it. Anything besides water is an excuse to put any alcohol in it at this point.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, milk. I think you'd rule out milk and
Nope,
alcohol.
Kahlua and milk.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
you're right. Yep. fuck, I'm an amateur. Wow. Yeah, it pretty much is just water then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shit. From Nog Friend, what moment in NHL history would you revert if you had the ability to? Well, Endo, I'm intrigued by your answer because Sin and I are both directly Stanley Cup related. That's fairly obvious. Sin, the Sharks beating the Penguins. For me, it's either the Bruins beating Chicago or the Bruins beating the Blues. I would have taken the Bruins beating the Blues because it was at home and they could have won the Cup that night. So, Endo, I'm intrigued. What NHL moment? It doesn't even have to be Leafs related. It could be a general thing. What NHL moment would you revert if you could? That could be a lockout. It could be someone signing with the team, not signing with the team. You got a lot of options here.
Yeah. I just immediately thought back to when I was a kid, and I was like,
I told my mom, was a nightmare.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Fuck you, Simple Plan.
Oh my god. I remember as a kid, in my head, I was like, I was like 6 or 7, and I didn't know like black people played hockey. And I was like, oh, cool. I want to be the first black hockey player. And my mom says, like Grant Fuhr is like black, right? I'm like, all right, never mind. And then my dreams of making the NHL were shot. So part of me is like, I want
to revert history, so I would be the first black NHL.
Okay, that's where he is going with it. Yeah. I didn't know. I was like, wait a sec. But he really does. Fuck Willie O'Ree.
Oh my god.
Endo Mills.
That's how fucking talks to the
motherfucking segregation until Endo Mills is ready.
Endo, what would your draft year have been? 2015?
2015.
You wanted to hold...
Kids, if you want to know what ego is, it's holding back an entire race of people because you want to be the first.
I want to be the first.
50 years.
Okay, to be fair, I would have been the.
Endo, I'm as white as can be, and right now
I'm
asking for your black card back.
Okay, listen, hear me out on this. Now that I think about it, what that mindset has as a kid, I was an idiot, clearly.
No, yeah, it's funny as shit though, man. Because I love the child thinking is so funny, man.
Yeah. So with that speaking, I have Jamaican and Italian heritage. So I would have, technically speaking, if I got drafted in 2015, I would have been the first Jamaican standing like player to be drafted in, which technically speaking would reach my goal, technically, because Jermaine Lowen didn't get drafted until like 2017 or 2019. I can't remember. He was like 7th round with Dallas Stars.
Oh, who was that goalie in Arizona? I thought they had like a from Trinidad.
They did. He wasn't drafted, but yeah, Arizona did just sign. Was it Anson Thornton?
Yeah,
what a
like
name.
That. I remember.
Here, I'm double checking really quickly. Hey, Anson Thornton, we got it.
Was it Trinidad and Tobago that he was from? I couldn't.
No, he's from Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
Attaboy.
Or at least of Jamaican. He is Jamaican Canadian. He was born in Oshawa. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember. Speaking of that, I remember my uncle who lovely man, lovely great man. He was telling me about how because I was getting back into hockey right before the pandemic like hit, and I was practicing with the junior A team because they needed a fill-in goalie. He's like, you should try out for the Jamaican national team. I'm like, that's a thing. And then,
they have a bobsled team.
Yeah, they had a bobsled team, and I looked it up, and they have a team, but like every single one of the players is like, I don't want to say like, oh, they're white because they're white Jamaicans. Like I know I have family members who are like predominantly white looking who are Jamaican, like descent, like 90 to 100%. And turns out like every single one of them was like by nationalization. So like it was an entire team of like all white Jamaican hockey players. It was like, is this team just like offsprings of snow? Like
Offsprings of Snow could also be the episode title.
Yeah, because that's weird.
Like that one time that Sin went full patois, and I was completely taken that back. Oh man,
I went what?
You went you just came through one day with a Jamaican accent. I was in hysterics. This is like a few months ago.
Oh, I don't remember.
I can barely remember 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I was fucking crying.
Would you believe it or not? That was a hockey question. And our final hockey question before we get into some of the topics. From Jared the Rabbit, thoughts on the modernized Buffalo Sabres goat head logo. So, Sin, I don't know if you saw this because I know you're pretty unplugged from stuff, but today the Sabres did announce that they are bringing back the black and red, the old goat head. They're going to wear it as a third jersey more than a dozen times, or about a dozen times this season. They did slightly modernize the logo as well, and I'll send this to you on Twitter really quickly so you see what I mean. But they ever so slightly tweaked the logo. They made it a little bit more clean, a little bit more modern. It's not this crazy update. It is essentially the same goat head logo.
Looks the same to me.
Yeah, well, they like took out like the silver outline.
Yeah, I'd have to
on the red outline
next to each other essentially because I can't tell.
They modernized it a bit. They simplified it a little bit. I still think it looks great. Like I like it. It's there. I do have, or did I sell it? No, I'm looking at it right now.
They flattened it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They just modernized it by flattening it.
For those on the video side of things, like I do have a goat head. It's actually, of all people, a JP Dumont.
What a name.
Goat head jersey. But as I've discovered with my jersey collecting adventures, I don't really like wearing CCM. Just the feel of the jersey, the collars, Reebok and Adidas have a better style for me in that regard. So I am very much planning on getting an updated version of this jersey when it comes out, and probably selling the OG goat head to fund it just for the sake of comfort. Like I'm pumped about this. Like there are quite a few jerseys like that actually that I'm excited to see updated. Now I can be like, okay, cool, I own it, but now I can actually wear this jersey more comfortably type of thing. So I'm ecstatic. I mean, I like obviously like growing up, goalies, I had an obsession over goalies in the NHL.
Me too.
And then you talk about Dominik Hasek in that era of the Sabres. I mean, it almost doesn't get any better than that. Like the look of the team, Hasek in goal. I have a very strong attachment, we'll say, to that era of the Sabres. So very, very excited for these jerseys coming out. Sin, I don't know how you feel. I mean, you might just be like, yeah, it's cool, or
yeah, I'm not a huge jersey guy, but yeah, I like it. I dig it. I'll be happy to see it. I think more jerseys and more variety is just cool. Like, cool for the NHL. Think of all the other sports. They all have 10,000 jerseys, and NHL for the longest time had like 2 or 3 max. Sometimes you had other ones, but it's good to see that it's like they're making all the teams fucking do it. Like, before it was money. This team has an alternate. This team has they have a second home and an alternate. Ooh. Fancy, but yeah,
right. Like you think back, like us growing up playing NHL 03, 04, and you go back, not that many teams had alternate jerseys.
Yeah.
Like that's changed a lot in the past less than 20 years in terms of just the idea of let's just do different stuff with jerseys. And obviously the primary reason is money, but smart move.
Yeah, and it's marketing. That's good. That's good for the game. Keep doing good things, NHL.
Endo, your thoughts on the return of the goat head?
I think it's nice. It's one of the jerseys I really liked as a kid, honestly. It's interesting because people were saying that was rumored to be the reverse retro. Yeah, so I wonder if that means that other teams are getting other alts, but not reverse retroed. Or if that is the reverse retro, or like, I don't fucking... They said it's like an official jersey. So.
It doesn't line up with the leaked reverse retro concept, which was the goat head, but with modern colors. So there is a chance that reverse retro will still be the goat head, just with, their more modern color scheme, but at the same time having their third jersey be based on the old goat head, which I think is interesting. Like, I would love it, for example, if this year the Bruins do have their reverse retro be a white version of the Pooh Bear, but then they actually wear the Pooh Bear jersey again as an alternate.
Yeah.
I'd be pumped about that.
I'd fuck with that.
Same thing with like the Sharks. If they bring back again like the original version, the 93 teal, and then have an inverted version of that as well. Like, there's a lot of cool possibilities. But yeah, they are going with the Golden Seals, exactly, or the not the Golden, California Golden Seals. There you go.
Yep.
So, and then the California Seals eventually. But yeah, no, I mean this is This almost makes it more intriguing to see what they're going to do with the reverse retro and what some teams might have as alternates for sure.
Yeah.
So with that, let's move on to talking about some of the, I guess, few but main talking points that we have from the world of hockey over the past couple of days. It hasn't quite been a week since our last show. Before we started recording, the Minnesota Wild announced that they traded defenseman Dmitry Kulikov to the Anaheim Ducks for future considerations. This is the 5th future considerations trade of this offseason alone, which is, it's just interesting how that's kind of taken off in terms of a concept in hockey, and I don't think we're going back anytime soon. But Kulikov making $2.25 through this year, 31 years old, very, very solid third pair defensive defenseman. So I'm not really sure why Minnesota did this, because they didn't exactly. Well, no, they have $4 million in projected cap. They weren't over or anything like that. I mean, yeah, they do have the $12.7 million of dead cap between Suter and Parise for this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very surprised, actually, unless they're planning on some of their younger guys to really step up and get those spots, which could be a good sign for them. And for the Ducks, you added Dmitry Kulikov for nothing. You signed John Klingberg this year, so Anaheim's going to have a decent defense too, and they're going to be an interesting team to watch anyway, because for parts of last year they were good, and then they regressed back down to really what we thought they would be. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting little trade. I don't think there's too much to overly dissect about it. The Wild also signed Sam Steele, 1-year deal, $825K. I'm kind of surprised Minnesota was the team. I'm intrigued to see if he can turn that around. I mean, we mentioned it like really any team can kind of sign him. San Jose maybe could have used it.
I don't know. We got Luke Kunin, man. Fuck everyone else.
We got Luke Kunin. Everything's going to be okay. And don't worry, Sin. We'll give you a chance in a minute to talk about the Sharks, because some interesting stuff has happened. But before that, the other big signing that occurred, speaking of Buffalo, kind of a good natural segue from talking about the logo, is that Tage Thompson has been re-signed. He was entering the last year of his deal. 24 years old, I believe, just trying to confirm. Indeed, he was going to be an RFA at the end of this contract. He has this year, $1.4 million against the books. The extension, starting in the 2023-2024 season, 7 years at $7.14, essentially. $7.14 million per. Interestingly enough, the first year, no clauses, and then from there, a 5-team no trade list kicks in for the final 6 years of the deal. So they are going all in with Tage Thompson, who, Sin, as you mentioned before we started recording, was on an interesting path. Part of the Ryan O'Reilly trade. Didn't do all that well in St. Louis his rookie year before the trade. Comes to Buffalo. 2018-19, 12 points in 65 games. The next year only played 1 NHL game. 2020-2021, 14 points in 38 games. So again, like, you're okay, like third liner maybe. And then this past season, 68 points in 78 games with 38 goals.
It's just a big risk. Like
$7 million.
Not
for
just
one
that, the term.
68-point season. 7 by 7, basically. I would
This
like to
makes
think...
it horrible for us to try to sign Timo Meier. Fuck you, Tage Thompson.
That's a market adjuster, for sure.
Ugh.
And, like, look, I get the idea of Buffalo trying to lock down their young talent, especially in the aftermath of the Jack Eichel stuff. Like, that is somebody that you bank on being all right. At the same time, this is a team that is just 3 years into the 8-year deal for Jeff Skinner, who, granted, Jeff Skinner had a hell of a tenure built up already, had the track record that, yeah, this maybe is a guy that you want to bank on. You know, in Carolina, he had a couple of 50-point seasons, two 60-point seasons as well. And then first year in Buffalo, 63 points, 40 goals. And then up until this past season where he actually had 63 points and 33 goals against. He bounced back pretty well. I think we all kind of
playing him on the fourth line.
Yeah, that certainly didn't help, did it? I think we all kind of view this the same way, as this is a gigantic risk for the Sabres, but we can understand why they took it. I don't know if either of you disagree with that.
No, I get it. Like if he's going to be a 70-point guy, that's a good deal. But
Yes.
yeah,
The key word there, of course, is if.
yeah.
So I'm intrigued for the Sabres. Like, we'll talk about it a lot, right? Obviously, when we get to the Atlantic Division, Endo and I certainly invested with our favorite teams. A lot of people are like, oh man, are the Sabres going to make the playoffs? And like I said, I still view them as a little bit of a ways away. But if Tage Thompson can prove that he is that guy and is worth a 7x7 contract, their outlook gets that much better, that much faster. In that you do have Thompson, who's 24. Krebs is 21. Middlestat's 23. He still needs to step up a bit. Yeah. Alex Tuch is going to be the captain of that team, and he's only 26. Rasmus Asplin's 24. Cousins is 21. Quinn's 20. Those are just the forwards.
You say Olofsson yet?
Olofsson's 27 at this point, but still a solid player.
Yeah, I forgot. He was such a late rookie. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's not even mentioning the defense with guys obviously like Dahlin and Owen fucking Power, as 2 former first overall picks. So, and they just re-signed Ukko Pekka-Luukkonen today as well. So they're in a good spot. We'll talk more about it when we get to our season preview shows about the Sabres. Big risk, though, for Tage Thompson, certainly. Speaking, though, of paying young players a lot of money, or not paying them a lot of money, let's talk about the Dallas Stars. I want to shout out Andy Strickland on Twitter, who had this. Stars owner Tom Gallardi, I believe it is,
Probably.
isn't a fan of paying kids out of entry-level deals big money. Says veteran players are getting squeezed because star players are being paid all the money. This is a team that has Jason Robertson and Jake Ottinger as RFAs. Doesn't this read like he's saying you two need to stop being selfish and take less money?
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yet he
this
is the
guy's
same
a shit owner, man. Like
he is the
shit.
same owner that every year, at least twice, like clockwork, has been calling out Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, his older star players, for not doing enough. He called them out earlier this summer, saying we need more from Benn and Seguin. Yet at the same time, you're saying you're not willing to pay the kids because guys like Benn and Seguin are getting paid what they're getting paid. This guy sucks.
Yeah.
Like, oof. I mean,
he needs to have a no fucking press policy. Just shut the fuck up. That's what most hockey players want from an owner. Sign their paychecks and shut the fuck up. And don't that's what hockey players, because honestly, an owner doesn't know jack shit about the game most times. Like,
be overly supportive.
Yeah.
Right? Be overly supportive. Like the Atlanta Falcons, for example, Arthur Blank as their owner. You could tell during that Super Bowl with the Patriots, he was down there. Like, you could tell how much it meant to him, and that he isn't the type, from what I've seen, Falcons fans, correct me if I'm wrong, he's not the type to want to take the spotlight, but he is the one to be overly supportive as an owner. Yeah. And you're right, Sin. That's exactly what people want, I would imagine, for an owner. It's as opposed to constantly being called out if you're getting paid a lot, and essentially now being called out if you're a younger player who wants to get properly paid. Being called out for essentially being selfish, apparently.
Yeah, if honestly, I'm the GM and coach over there, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're making our job so difficult.
Yeah, like I'd expect them to like do something to take the press off of the players. Like, typically, is like you expect some coaches to do. Like, we've talked about that before, with how John Cooper was taking the pressure off of his players, just putting the blame on him or distracting the media instead of talking about the players, talking about him because get off their backs kind of thing. Like, this is just putting more fuel to the fire. And we've seen already in the league what happens when you have an owner who either A, doesn't want to pay, B, has a big mouth, with this case right now. And if I were one of those guys, I wouldn't want to sign. I would sit out at this point. I mean, like, they can still go play overseas or play somewhere else to make money. if you're not going to pay them what they think they're due. I
So
think
Tom-
we're seeing a big rise of like the whole, people being not entitled, but people, deserving bigger pay. I mean, Jake Ottinger stepped in during the bubble to carry that team as well to basically a Stanley Cup final his rookie season, a la almost in the same way that Matt Murray did with Pittsburgh.
Was he the starter for that, or
No,
was that
he wasn't.
Hadobin
He
before
wasn't, but he
Hadobin
came
fell
in and
off?
kicked ass. He came in and kicked people's ass. Yeah,
What? In
Because
the
they
bubble? I
had
don't think so.
Khudobin.
I don't think that was the bubble, though.
No.
yeah, it was. Yeah, they had Khudobin and Ottinger had to play one game because I think Khudobin got hurt.
Okay, one
Yeah.
game. Yeah,
I was gonna say,
sorry.
yeah,
You
it
made it
definitely
sound like
wasn't
he
like-
took over. I was like, what?
Right.
I mean, now he's the number one guy for sure.
Oh yeah, this past postseason, that series against Calgary, where he
Yeah.
single-handedly kept them in the damn thing
Yeah.
and almost won it.
And now they don't want to pay him. Unfucking real. Give him to us, please.
Where have I heard that before, huh?
So Jake Ottinger, we'll talk about him first. And for the record, Tom Ghilardi, initially tried to buy the Vancouver Canucks in 2004. I think there was eventually a lawsuit over that with the Aquilinis keeping the team. He then tried to buy the Thrashers and was going to relocate them to Hamilton, Ontario, and that didn't come to fruition. They went to Winnipeg instead, and then bought the Stars. And in fairness, yeah, the Stars were in a pretty rough spot. Like, in some sense, maybe he did save that team a little bit. But at the same time, I just don't know. Because, again, he's been the owner of that team now since, I think, 2010, 2011. They've had the same GM in Jim Nill for 9 years. And what have they accomplished in that time, aside from the bubble run? Jake Ottinger will turn 24 in December. This past season, 48 games played, a .914 save percentage. In 7 playoff games against Calgary this year, a .181 goals against average and a .954 save percentage. And you're trying to lowball him, a former first-round pick in 2017, and you're trying to lowball him. The fuck is the matter with you? And on top of that is Jason Robertson. Also a 2017 draft pick, by the way. Second round. Jesus Christ. He just turned 23 in July. His first 2 seasons in the NHL. 51 games played, 45 points. Last season, 74 games, 79 points, with 41 goals. Eat your heart out, Tage Thompson. He deserves more than Tage Thompson. And you're trying to lowball him because you don't like paying guys who are coming off of their ELC. Dallas, I'm sorry, but oof. Fucking oof. If you're a Stars fan that has optimism, I commend you, because I don't see how you could with the ownership and the leadership of this team right now.
Yeah, and why the fuck is Tom Ghilardi talking about signing players even? Like, again, you're the owner. You're not the one signing players. Like, he's got his hand way too deep in the cookie jar, man. And it's making everyone's job a pain in the ass. He needs to shut the fuck up. Like, straight up. Just needs to shut the fuck up. Like, that's it. Stay out of the way of the people who know what the hell they're doing, clearly.
You have 4 forwards on your roster signed after this upcoming season.
Yikes.
I'm pretty sure you want to make sure the good young talent are locked up and are the core of this team moving forward. Shout out to a potential NHL 23 franchise mode for me with the Dallas Stars, because that team's a fucking mess right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll end up being decent. Maybe those words will come back, but the overall picture is oof. Which brings me to the San Jose Sharks. Sorry, son, I had to do it. First and foremost, forward Jonathan Dahlin returning to Sweden. No real surprise there. 5-year deal with Timrå. He was okay, but it's not a huge loss. But at the same time, that kind of is maybe the type of guy that you'd want to keep around. Yeah. And then let's talk about the trade that they made.
Yeah.
On July 17th of 2021,
we're
13 months ago,
we're doing the tree first. Good. Yeah.
They acquired goaltender Aiden Hill, along with a 7th-round pick that became Eli Barnett in this past draft.
Elite.
For Josef Kozanash, and a 2022 second that became, I believe, German forward Julian Lutz. So Aiden Hill in a 7th for Kozanash in a 2nd. A few days ago, they traded Aiden Hill to the Vegas Golden Knights straight up for a 2024 4th-round pick.
Yeah, stonks.
Stonks indeed. Now, obviously, there is new management, Mike Greer, the GM of this team. We mentioned that they had 3 goalies because they already had Reimer, and they acquired Kaapo Kähkönen in the past couple of months and then re-signed him to a deal at $275 for 2 years. So someone was going to go. The optics of it being Aiden Hill is the one to go. It's a little bit rough, though.
I mean, it makes sense. He was the worst of the 3. And you can flip Reimer at the deadline when you're shit because you're going to be shit. And Reimer's a good goaltender, and everyone likes a good insurance goaltender at the deadline. So you're getting at least a 2nd for him. Better get a fucking 1st. Who knows? Depends on the kind of year he's able to have.
I can't wait for Reimer to end up in Toronto when the Matt Murray situation doesn't go right.
Oh, man. It might happen. But yeah, Aiden Hill just didn't quite work out, but he was also signed for like $2 million. But yeah, I don't like this because for one, you traded with Vegas. You helped them out for peanuts. Yeah, you get some cap relief.
That's the benefit. They get cap relief. They're compliant pretty much now.
If he has a good season with Vegas, I'm going to be pissed. But mostly, it's just the fact that you spent so much on Hill when then you see Nedeljkovic go for a fucking 3rd. And he's clearly a better goaltender. Yeah, the end of Doug Wilson's tenure was just not good, and it really sucks. Because he was a great GM. He was a fucking amazing GM until one day, all of a sudden, he wasn't.
I do think a lot of fans feel the same way you do about Nedeljkovic, even though his first season in Detroit was up and down, but it's not like they were the best roster in the world.
Detroit was, crap. Hill was worse. He ended up in the AHL. What's that tell you? We acquired another goaltender like that, and he had injury issues too.
The positive optics would be that, you got a 4th-round pick for a 3rd goalie.
Sure.
Because Aiden Hill is now the insurance policy in case Brossoit or Logan Thompson underdeliver for Vegas in goal now that Robin Lehner's out.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking Aiden Hill would be over Brossoit.
Honestly, that might not be the worst idea. I think that's what I would try first.
Yeah, if I was them, because you're paying him $2 million. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what Vegas is going to do?
Fun fact: Brossoit is also getting paid $2 million.
Yeah,
Jesus,
good stuff. But yeah, giving away a 2nd plus Kozanash, who again up and down and hasn't again made an impact. But at the time, I was like, this guy better work out, and he didn't. It's just. And then you look at what other trades were made for goaltenders. You see Ned go for a 3rd and other moves. And it's just, we seem to constantly be overpaying in certain ways. And then for guys that would underperform. And that was just kind of the last few moves made, especially around goaltenders, besides Reimer, because of course.
I'm excited to get to those season previews when we get to talk about the Sharks and kind of your outlook for them. And if, based off of the final product of a roster that you see.
Yeah, I want to see
if you're any more optimistic.
I want to see who's making it first. I want to see that opening night roster.
Well, the reason why that's interesting, obviously, is the potential for prospects, and one in particular, which brings us to our next talking point.
2 in particular.
There you go. Corey Pronman of The Athletic put out a rather detailed article ranking the best NHL players and prospects under the age of 23, with Jack Hughes landing at the number 1 spot. Now, I'm not going to spoil everything. I recommend you go check it out. He had 170 eligible players. Only the top 5 were listed as bubble elite NHL players and consistent NHL All-Stars, which I think is fair. You factor in Jack Hughes into that conversation. Only 7 of them he had as presumed NHL All-Stars in the next category. So I kind of like the way he set that up, kind of making sure that, the top are the top. Now, what I left out of your guys' preview run sheet is the players from our 3 favorite teams.
Oh,
and
boy.
who you think might have made the list in terms of the top 170 prospects under 23. Endo Mills, do you have any guesses on how many prospects Toronto has on this list?
3.
Solid guess. They have 4.
Yeah.
Highest rated forward Matthew Knees, I believe it is. Knees.
No, I think it's Nyes. Not sure.
Rasmus Sandin on that list. Nick Robertson. And defender Topi Niemela. That's not bad for Toronto.
Mm-mm.
I mean, yes, they aren't the furthest away from being a number 1 overall pick type of team. And, getting Marner when they did and such. But that's not bad, given that they have been a consistent playoff team now for the past couple years. Well, I mean, I guess they technically didn't make it the bubble year because of the Columbus play-in, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Sin, any guess of the San Jose Sharks?
It's... Honestly, I can only think of... I would give them, honestly, 4 because of that goaltender we had, Gaudreau.
Fun fact, he's not on the list. Promen has them with 5.
Huh.
Eklund as their top option, obviously. Bordelot.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Merkley.
Yep.
Matthias Havlid, who I think they just drafted.
Yeah.
And Brandon Coe, I believe.
Interesting. Braden Coe?
I think it's just Brandon. But regardless, couple of good options there. Now, see, you might have thought I was setting this up to be a Sharks dunk. Any guesses on the Bruins representation on this list?
1.
0.
1.
Yeah, and it's going to be center boy.
On a list of 170 players, the Bruins have 1 forward Fabian Lysell at number 170.
Wow. Oh, no, he's at 170? Oh, boy.
Dead last, baby. Dead
Bruins!
Don Sweeney.
I understand. I understand that the Bruins have consistently been competitive, and as a result, you're not likely to draft all that well. But this is staggering. And again, this list from a writer, it's not the end-all, be-all, right? Like, I can admit that the Bruins do have some prospects that I am, that I'm excited about. Not that I'm expecting to necessarily set the world on fire here or be like these elite of the elite. But, especially on the defensive side of things, Mason Lohrei stands out, and he's one of the few. I'll leave it at that. But my God, have the Bruins just been abysmal at drafting. And if this is the year, like the final year of a push, Krejci's back, Bergeron's back, if this is the final year,
it's going to be painful.
This is the last season for a fucking decade that I am going to have fun watching Bruins hockey.
Yeah, that rebuild's going to take a while.
I can only hope that somehow they finagle their way to one more cup, but it's going to be fucking painful.
Poor McAvoy, man. He's going to have no one.
Pasternak hasn't re-signed yet.
Yeah.
And if I'm David Pasternak, why the fuck would I? When you know that Don Sweeney is the general manager of this team. Right now, Cap Friendly has them listed with 14 forwards. The average age of those forwards is 29.8.
It's up there.
I can't imagine there's a team that has an older average forward core. But I mean, defensively, it's like, okay, you got McAvoy and Lindholm and Carlo signed for at least 5 years.
Wait for Jumbo to sign somewhere, and then he'll crank
Bruins
up that
average age 35.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the Bruins. Oh, yeah, if he goes there, that'd be hilarious.
Their longest signed forward is Charlie Coyle with 4 more years. On Marchand, each have 3 years left. Fuck, man. So, obviously for Toronto, a lot of optimism. For the Sharks, we're going to be shit, but reason for optimism. For the Bruins, it's this nervous energy of, we can see it coming. Like, use whatever horrible analogy you want. You're staring at the edge
It's
of
that
the cliff.
meme. Here it comes.
Just death sprinting at them. Like, it's going to be bad. It's going to be painful. It's going to be sad. Unless you don't like the Boston Bruins, in which case you're going to have a lot of fun.
Let's fucking go!
Terrible.
It's that basketball coach guy.
Let's go!
God damn.
Oh my god, yeah. Let's go! He just goes like fucking 10 minutes. Oh my god.
Fucking ballistic, yeah. So, yeah, hey, check out Corey Proman's article on The Athletic. Again, it's not the end-all, be-all gospel, but it's an interesting look, and tough to disagree with some of the things there, and the general consensus that everyone knows, except for the Bruins. Oof. Yeah, it's not going to be a very fun future. Last two things here. First and foremost, the Pittsburgh Penguins agreed to a contract extension, 3 years for head coach Mike Sullivan, who has been at the helm of this team since the midway point of the 2015-16 season. Obviously, the back-to-back cups in that time. Yeah, I mean, you've kept Letang, Crosby, Malkin. They're all still there. I mean, it's a coach they've won the cup with. I wouldn't expect them to get rid of Mike Sullivan, to have it be like, oh, we need a new voice to get us there. The Penguins consistently have a chance. You just got to get the right pieces around that core, even though they're aging in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah, I always like the Penguins. They always have a chance, in my opinion, because they have Crosby. And he's just such a talented player still, and he just has that X factor. Not like NHL X factor.
Beauty backhand, I believe it's called.
I knew it. Anyway,
yes.
Yeah. I set that up too easily.
Well, you did, because our final talking point is NHL 23. The gameplay trailer dropped as well. Again, another breakdown of that on my main channel there. And along with that, the tech test, essentially what is a closed beta, is out. As a result, we're not able to talk too much about it.
Are you sure about that? Because everyone's fucking talking about it on fucking Twitter.
I guess, yeah.
That's what people do on Twitter.
Fair.
There's one thing that I love. I want to go.
Someone has an NDA here. Actually, two people technically have NDAs.
Yeah, have NDAs. So I can talk all I want about this right now.
Well, can you? Because the podcast is not under your name.
That's true.
That's why I'm going to say we can talk about it vaguely, but we will not go into overly critical details because it is still a beta at the end of the day. So, Sin, first and foremost, we mentioned it earlier. You don't have it. You haven't played it. You have no desire to play it.
Not really. I figure I'm like I said, this year I'm not trying to get myself hyped or anything. I'm just accepting things as they are. And what they are right now, I'm not plugged into Twitter. I'm not going to worry about testing the beta. I didn't enjoy particularly the gameplay of NHL 22. So when it comes out and when I get my hands on a copy, then I'll play it and I'll let myself, be pleasantly surprised or, just know what it is at that point. Like I'm not
surprised at all.
Yeah. Like I'm just that's where I'm at right now. I'm just like, NHL, it's the basis for my channel, but I'm trying to do other things along with it now.
Endo Mills, your thoughts after your first day or so of the tech test?
It's all right. Needs fucking work. Obviously, it's a tech test. I think everyone complaining massively and getting fucking their tubes tied about a tech test is stupid.
Why are their tubes tied?
Getting your tubes tied about a tech test.
Well, like they're just complaining about the game. I'm gonna get a bit
soapboxy here if you don't take that back.
Excuse me?
Right. Nothing.
Go for it. Rip him a new one.
No,
I mean, like in general, I think, like I agree with the idea of like to be critical on it and everything, but at the same time, it's a tech test. I've noticed some issues, especially with goaltending, where like at one point. It just doesn't. The goalie stops tracking the puck at a certain range or certain aspects. It's great that they announce, like, the goalies feel the same as as a human and computer goalies share the same movements. But if the human goaltending experience was shit, and you're gonna give that experience to the CPU, you're gonna have a bad fucking time. Like they showed off like a highlight clip. Like, oh, here's a save that we added into the game. I'm pretty sure that fucking clip that they use in the trailer was from like NHL 19 when they showed up that they added new goaltending stuff. Or like NHL 20 or 21 they added new goaltending stuff. It's the same clip. It's the same guy, same gear. it just looks different, and it looks fucking terrible. Like, now that I've like really sat down and looked at it and played it, like, generally speaking, offense is boosted to shit this year for the tech test. Defense is, there's been some parts where like, oh, the puck was across and you actually pick it up instead of having it go through your legs or through your stick. That's great. But generally speaking, I don't know. Everyone's talking about how offense is back. Well, it's really easy when offense is back when defense is
Never
nerfed
went
to
away.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, this was specifically non-specific.
I'm okay with it. I
it's
can't
fine.
imagine. I
No,
can't
yeah.
imagine I'll get in too much trouble for it when someone like Nasher is like, "Yep, this is basically NHL 22.5." So
Oh,
I do have that defense of like, well, if I got to get punished for this critique, then you got to punish a lot of other people, and that's okay.
Yeah, rules
If your
for
friends
thee,
jump
not
off
for
a
me.
bridge, will you? Apparently, I will. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay to begin with of the past generation of NHL games. People know that. That's why I play a lot of NHL 2K10 with these guys included.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's necessarily NHL 22 and a half as Endo drops his microphone that he's been fiddling with for the entire damn show. So if you've been hearing some background noise, it's him. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I do agree in a sense with the critique that and it's an accurate critique because we know this now. Crossplay was the huge addition, and then they added some little things here and there that they can to try and get things forward, but it's never going to be this huge leap. You get pretty much the one big overhaul or one big feature a year and then a bunch of little things. And that one big thing was crossplay. And that's what people wanted and that's what people demanded. So at the same time, you can't sit there and be overly surprised that maybe some aspects of the gameplay haven't taken a huge step forward because that's just not how it works. Like, I don't know. You got what you wanted with crossplay. You gotta be able to accept the good with the bad here in this instance because there is never going to be that huge step forward as we talked about so long as there is this yearly release schedule. So I kind of said into my first the reveal trailer recap that I did last week, it's if you enjoyed NHL 22, you're going to enjoy NHL 23. If you did not enjoy NHL 23 or NHL 22, then NHL 23 is going to be more of the same with some changes. Yeah, it's EA NHL at this point is the best way I can explain it. And I think I'm intrigued to see what they say because while I do have that, I guess inside knowledge of a lot of stuff, I don't know what other things they might add in or might tease or anything like that in regards to what they're going to show in trailers coming up as well. That's always a surprise for us at the very least. So I'm intrigued to know what people think. I mean, again, the Discord, Twitter, let me know. The YouTube side of things, again, with those videos. But it's been an interesting reaction so far on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube in regards to what people think about the tech test. Even though, yeah, I mean, I appreciate their effort of being like, it's closed. You can't share clips. It's like you can hold in people sharing clips and streaming it. You cannot suppress the idea of people talking about it. That's just not something that's going to happen this day and age.
Yeah. Go ahead, son.
No, I'm just people going to talk about it. Like, you're not going to stop them either because you ban all these people. You're not going to have anyone to fucking buy your game and buy your hut packs and shit.
Yeah, there's one thing I love about like everything that's happened so far is within a week, I've seen people go from shitting on the game itself off of a release trailer, which is footage recorded in rookie mode, which they've confirmed from last year and the year before that. Until they record to get clips, to frothing at the mouth at people's feet for codes. And if that isn't a bigger state than the community itself, where it's just a bunch of, I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but it's a lot of reactionary stuff where it's people aren't even really generating their opinion. They're just looking at whatever is the cool fucking thing to see on social media and just dunking on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the one thing that I hate too is like, I want to, like, I see these features are great. They're cool. I want to see how it is in gameplay. There's some aspects of it that I like, some aspects that I don't like. I'm going to share that and be vocal about that. Another thing that weirded me out about the whole thing when not having to talk about it, I shared a specific thing that was in the game. I'm not going to say what it was. And then the community manager liked my tweet. So I'm like, does that mean I can continue talking about stuff like this? Or can I be quiet? You have people talking about the release of a new server. I'm not going to say where. But that's being in there. People are talking about that. You have people talking about certain things in super detail. All I said was, oh, the game is, I didn't say stuff that was super specific, but there's exploits in there. People are figuring them out. I'm just confused on that part. Like you said, if it's going to be a tech test, make it so that way literally no one can talk, say, or speak about it whatsoever and be very strict on it. Or have it be an open beta like you used to before. Because then you had actual people going through. I remember there was NHL 18 or something. They hit 1 million active players on there. And that was huge. And they were celebrating, like, yeah, we had 1 million downloads. We had like 100,000 active players. During that time, you could find a game in literally like 5 seconds. And it was great. And I'm not sure. There's probably reasons why they aren't doing that anymore. But
in terms of the reason why it's closed instead of open, I don't know. But one critique I have seen that I agree with, and Sin, I'm intrigued to see what you think of this as well, because you mentioned the smaller player base. I'm surprised it's not an open beta, because it's a small enough community as it is.
Bam.
And further restricting the feedback that you're getting by having it be dependent on a code setup is interesting. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but the optics of that are rough.
It doesn't make sense to me. I can't imagine what the reasons are. Like, I really can't, unless they're working with a jank-ass server and they can only have a few, however many people that they allow on it before it collapses. I don't know. They're always looking to cut costs, so that wouldn't surprise me, I guess. But at the same time, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why not have an open beta? Like, I think maybe they want to like make it like exclusionary to like build up hype to try to generate more sales, or just exclusive. Sorry. But again, I don't know. Like, business wise, it would be smart to be able to get other people, to get an entire community of opinion, a larger group of opinions. But again, they don't really listen to any opinions anyway. At least mine.
I was gonna say,
and I've accepted that. So
yeah, I was gonna say on top of that too. Like, if they're gonna do that mindset, of having a select group, I'm surprised that certain members of the community who were very prominent didn't get any access. I remember hearing one person, like, I remember hearing Crofto saying he didn't get a code, or our person saying he didn't get a code, like that. And again, it is like a test, like you said. But if the community is so damn small, like, I don't get why, like you said, why it wasn't open, or there weren't codes given out to people who have been there before, or have like seniority or whatever whatsoever. Like, I don't know. This seems just like a giant like mess up, and then people are complaining about like GCs are getting codes to give away and all this and all that. It's like, well, they're trying to help feed it out. Like, honestly, I think this is a giant mess entirely. And if this is indicative of what 23 is going to be,
it's a big fucking club, and you ain't in it.
With that, I can think of no better words in which to end this podcast on, to be honest. I think you can kind of tell by the tone where some of the optimism is. And I mean, with Sin, literally, who, we've built our channels up on NHL, and he's like, I'm not even going to bother trying to get a code. Kind of tells you where certain things are at this point. But hey, if you're enjoying the tech test, again, let us know. For now, we are out of here this week, though. We'll be back presumably next Wednesday. Again, we're getting that much closer to 2 episodes a week. Wanted to mention on the way out of here in terms of what I have going on. Obviously, there is the YouTube side of things, the main channel, the second channel, of course. And of course, if you're watching this on the YouTube side of things, we thank you for that. And if you're not, you can do that if you want to. Obviously, we're streaming every single night as well, still playing a lot of Madden and have an absolute blast with Madden franchise because it's actually good. It is. It's awesome. And I know, Sin, you haven't been able to watch some of these streams, but I think if you watch some of the things that Madden franchise has, it'd be like, it's just that feeling of like, son of a bitch. Why don't we have that elsewhere? Also wanted to mention, in case one podcast wasn't enough for you, I started another one.
Oh.
With good friend of the show, Crash Andrews, talking about the world of wrestling. Because we both were looking for an outlet to talk about wrestling. So we figured, why not? So you can follow us on Twitter at Second Turnbuckle. the number 2 ND Turnbuckle, the second Turnbuckle podcast. Our first episode is out. If you have not listened to it, make sure to do so. And yeah, aside from that, that's all I got. Endo Mills, what do you got going on, buddy?
Not a lot. I've been thinking about putting out a video regarding, talk about a tech test at length, but I'm gonna double check what the rules are for that, because apparently if I can't post anything on YouTube, that's fine. I can't use footage. I can use footage of 22 because we said it's almost like the exact same game. Yeah, I'm just playing a lot of that, working on some videos hopefully, and figuring out my life. Yeah, that's basically everything that's going on with me. I was supposed to stream today, didn't stream. But you can check me out twitch.tv/endomills. I'm there every weekday. I might do multi-streams on YouTube because I found out that Twitch doesn't care about multi-streams anymore, especially for affiliates. And God knows I'm never going to get partners, so I'm going to try and milk the system.
Sin, what do you got going on? Anything as extreme as that?
No, I'm just doing my thing. Caps series wrapping up final year. Going to do a Draft Glory after that. I've also, of course, started playing Warhammer on my channel, the Total War game, and I don't know. Eventually, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, not great right now because it's not NHL. So, if you guys are interested in seeing me play something that I'm actually super super passionate about, check out my channel and check out the series that I just started right now. I've kind of tweaked it because it has tons of customization, this game mode, so you can fuck with the end game scenarios and stuff like that. And I decided to make it about 50% earlier than it would come because I apparently like a really dumb challenge. So come check that out. It's going to be a zombie apocalypse essentially, and I don't know if I'll survive it.
How do I get involved with this? This sounds fun.
It's great.
Everybody, with that, we'll see you next week when I am neck deep in Warhammer. We'll see how that plays out for us. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.